Hello. Song is so good, I feel bad interrupting it. But it's Wednesday. It's time. Party Wipe, episode 34. Where we build a roguelike deck builder in Godot. In our roguelike deck builder, you draft an RPG party. Try to avoid the dreaded party wipe. How's it going, everybody? I had to let it finish. That was too epic. All right, now we can put on our co-working music here. And just hang out for the next few hours. Try to get some stuff done. Spotted a bug yesterday. So I think the first thing I'm going to try to do is kill that bug. Does a card flip have a time to it? Time component? I don't think so. No. Now that I've got since we've gotten these multiple UI layers that we're splitting things through, just to deal with the weirdness of the way that the cards calculate Z indexing. Since we've got that, I realized we could actually turn the card animations back on. So I did that yesterday, which is very easy to do. So now when I end the turn and we redraw our hand, it actually like takes time to occur, and that's nice. That feels nice. But yeah, our grid, we made a grid overlay that actually shows the grid a little bit. It looks nice. It's simple, but nice. So we can play our characters. We also did the same thing for movement. There's a cost to movement now, and actually that's another thing I need to do is if we move out of the area, it corrects it. But if I move off the map, it doesn't, and that's easy to fix. So I'll fix that too. Hey, Sapphire. How's it going? The thing I spotted, yeah, and this is nice because this actually redraws boundaries. We run out of movement. Our movement resets. I do like the card draw animation. Might need to make the cards not interactable during the draw, but I don't know if I'm worried about that. The thing that I noticed that's kind of annoying is that if I have this item, so if I unselect and reselect it, the selection's gone. But if I have this selected, and then I like undo it and redo it, it's still selected. And what's worse is if I have this selected and then I add another item, like a shield. Now, I think if I undo and redo, the selection is still up. And if I got it to the point where you'd have multiple equipment pages up and you would just see them all. Well, you wouldn't see them all, but you'd unselect one and another one would be behind it, which just tells me part of the serialization is not correctly resetting the equipment page stuff. So I got to take a look there. And then we also need to reset the movement display if we move the cursor off screen. Gotta do that too. It's going all right. Really tired today for some reason. I feel it. I feel it. I did good. I went to sleep on time. Mainly because I didn't do any work last night, really. I finished watching Merlin, which is an absolute gem. And I went to sleep at a respectable time. Because yeah, I if I'm running low on sleep, it totally changes my entire... It changes everything for me. It's crazy. It's crazy how different it is. And the difference might only be an hour, right? Might only be like an hour of sleep. It totally changes my outlook and feelings and absolutely everything. It's kind of wild. All right, so what we need to do is a couple of things. One, go in here. I also realized I might not need this environment manager class, whose only job is to instantiate environment maps. I realized I might not actually need it. The reason I did it was so that we could cycle through different maps. Like I could create a map, and then the environment manager could load that map. But I realized I actually don't really need that because of the way we handle serialization and deserialization. Because we don't serialize or deserialize objects, we just do the data that the object has. That's probably the system I'm going to use for loading and unloading maps. Which means rather than instantiating a whole environment map scene, we'll probably just reset the scene with the pieces that we need, the same way that we do for, you know, undo, redo, save, load. So I'm probably going to change that, but I don't think it's a huge priority right now. But what is a priority at this exact moment is identifying where we reset the movement cost preview. It's right here. So what we can do is we can just move this up here. We can say if fig selected. Oh, excuse me. We already have the character sheet, so we can just say character sheet.preview move cost 0. Instead of having it in a branch down here. That should... Nope. Never mind. That won't work. So we have this if map zone has point. So we're not going to do it that way. We can in principle do this. We just need to do it higher up. So we're just going to do it way up here. Is there any other time we would do it? Card dragged. This should be okay. Should be okay. We'll see. Whoa. What did I do? What did I just do? That stupid thing that I just do? Oh, well, I guess we need an if fig selected. Check. Don't love that, but okay. I do love that draw timing now that the layering is alright. I really do like that. Okay, so now if I go off screen, yeah, it resets. Great. That's what I want. Hey, I just applied a weapon, and yet it's letting me redo. Interesting. Another bug. It's a day of bugs. It's a day of bug fixing so far. That's okay. That's in line with like the Tim Kaine school of thought around like how to structure your programming time, which is like start out with some easy wins if you can find them. So, because I want to work on actions, I want to work on setting up action stuff, but that is going to be a big change. A big change. So there's some problem with the save manager in that... No, it's not the save manager, it's the menu bar. Which should actually really be called something else. Yeah, it's called the menu button row. So we're going to close that. We're going to rename it. Menu bar is apparently a thing. In Godot already. I try not to name my stuff after Godot stuff. Alright, so somewhere here... So in the save manager, we occasionally disable... Actually, where do we do this? Somewhere we're disabling buttons. Oh, whenever we change the time step. That should work. That should work. Let's take snapshot not doing that. Time step plus equals 1. Time step, timeline. Time step is less than... Take snapshot. Time step plus equals 1. Oh, we can't just blindly do this. Oh, no, we should be able to do this. Timeline equals, timeline.slice, time step. Oh, here's the problem, So I have the button disable logic here on the setter. The problem is we have separate logic for trimming the timeline. We could move this up into the setter. We could say, like, if value is greater than 0 and time step is less than or equal to timeline.size minus 1. Well, less than, not less than or equal. I have less than or equal because we do the increment first. But if we moved this up into the setter, save manager is surprisingly like the simplest piece of code I think we have in the game. All right, let's do that. Let's say if value is greater than 0 and time step is less than timeline.size minus 1, then timeline equals timeline.slice 0. This is exclusive, so it needs to be time step plus 1. Which is okay because we know time step is less than timeline.size. Although, no, it's less than timeline.size minus 1. So we know we can say time step plus 1. Okay. And that's because slice uses an exclusive end, right? Yes. Okay. Quiet day today. Hope everyone's doing all right. It's Wednesday. We're halfway through the week. Maybe everyone's just tired. Maybe we're all just tired. I know I'm working too much. I keep looking for opportunities to pull back at work a little bit and take some time back, but I have not found it. I have not found the time to take back. And man, am I tired. And the only thing I am more than tired is thirsty. Nice coffee mug. It's a water mug. But yeah, thanks. On the back it says don't have a cow, man. It's an instant like it declares me of a certain age, right? How's it going, Chris Knife? Sapphire, you're deaf tired. You're just relaxing and working on a prototype for a personal project in Godot that you want to have to show someone tonight. Ooh. Nothing like a deadline. All right, so we're going to move the timeline trimming code here. Is that going to work, actually? No, I can't. I can't do that. And I'll tell you why, and it's because I'll tell you why we can't do that. It's because redo increases the time step, but it does not trim the tree. So that's not going to work. So we do need to do it here. We'll do it here. What we need to do we can reverse the order. We'll reverse the order. We'll do the check first and then the increment. That's how we're going to do this. Should be okay. Ooh, a non-game project in Godot. Ooh. That's fun. I know some people who use Godot for that stuff. They're getting more... The engine is taking that more seriously. People who are like, it's just a good way to create an app. It's just a good environment for creating any kind of like interactive app. And it's like, yeah, it is kind of. Okay, this should be fine. Time step plus equals 1. Time step. Time step is less than timeline.size minus 1. So if we're before the head of the timeline, basically, then what we should do is trim the timeline down so that we are now at the head of the timeline, and then add the new state. That should fix that. Because yeah, the redo button, we do have a safety marker or a safety thing where like the redo button won't do anything if it can't, but you know. So what did I do? I like Here, let me find another. Let me find another night card. Play the other night card. Then what I want to do is unplay that night card. Crash. What about get index 2? Oh shit. Okay. I think I know what happened there. Actually, okay, maybe I do need to make the player hand uninteractable. Somehow. I think we've introduced a problem. So the only issue with this dealing things out, the undo button is available for some reason. That's not right. Okay, now it's not of it. Oh. How? Oh, because I left both time step plus equals ones. Okay. I was like, how are we in this situation? I understand. I was like, how did I break this so badly? I didn't. Well, I did, but we're okay. We're all right. All right, we're going to play a night card. And I can undo that. And I can redo that. And it's all good. The thing I want to test. So I want to play another night card. Undo that. So now I have a redo. But then I want to play an item. Okay, now I can't redo because we trimmed the tree successfully. Great. Yeah, anytime you do anything, it should reset the... You should not be able to redo. It should just trim the history tree. Which is always what burns you when you're working on something, right? Is you like undo a few steps and then you do something, so now all of your redo steps are gone. That's always how that goes, right? So if I have this, and then if I play a new item like this, that works. But what if I undo? It seemed to be okay. If I redo, yeah. So now we're in a really weird state because now the sword is not technically selected, but the equipment page is up. So yeah, we're not deserializing the visibility of the equipment page correctly. So that's the next bug to tackle in this our day of bugs. Getting actions working is going to require...
Retired android.
Hey! Thank you, retired android. Thank you for supporting me on Ko-Fi. Hey, really appreciate that. Thank you so much. You're like the third person to ever use that. How's it going? Happy Wednesday. Halfway through the week. Oh, is this your second coffee that you bought me? I really appreciate you. I also really like your Rutger Hauer icon. Yeah, Ko-Fi Stream Bot is okay. Rutger Hauer was in that Merlin miniseries I was watching that I finished last night. He did a great job. He's the best. You know, he wrote the Tears in Rain monologue. Isn't that crazy? That was like all him. Super smart guy. But you'd never know it, like, watching some of the characters he plays. He always plays like a kind of hard-headed buffoon kind of character. But super creative guy. Alright, so equipment page deserialization. Equipment page deserialization would be here, I think. So what's our problem? Equipment.clear, sure, great. If selected equipment, selected equipment.visible is false. I think we need to do more. I think what we need to do, rather than just doing it for the selected equip, I think what we need to do is we need to say for equip page in equip pages. Oh, we're going to delete a bunch of these, aren't we? Let's do it further down. So for equip page, so we say while page IDX is less than array size. So we instantiate them if we need to. If they're newly instantiated, they are... Oh, shoot. I think I did this to myself. I need these scenes to be invisible by default. That might actually have just been my bad. Actually, all we probably need to do is make the selected equipment not visible. That might have just been a silly mistake on my part. We could still, just for safety's sake, say equip page.visible equals false here. And we could even do it here, just to prevent that from ever being a problem. Well, maybe not ever, but I don't know. I'll do it here. That's a mistake that could show up in a lot of places. But it's also pretty easy to know that's occurring. Let's see if we fixed it. So I do this. You don't need, doesn't matter what I equip. It can be this. Let me do this. Then let me undo this. Select this. Redo this. Select this. Actually, let me undo this, select this, and then redo it. This actually might be okay. This might actually work now. Let's do it like this. Let's do this, undo it, select this, redo it, select it again. Okay. Undo. Okay, that looks like it's being cleaned up correctly. Looks like it's being cleaned up correctly. Okay, I think that's it for bug fixes for the moment. Why don't I just equip page close when I deserialize? Why do I do this whole thing? Let's just say equip page close. And then clear the equipment. That should be fine. That'll make sure all the buttons get cleaned up as well. I want to get rid of this act button. I'm actually going to remove this. Frames by slot selected. Separation of signal false. Yeah, we're going to get rid of the act button from the equipment page. I realize it's not what I want. Although there is something we're going to need to do. I might have maybe needed to leave the label. Thanks for the hydrate and the stretch, Sapphire. Appreciate that. I rely on chat to keep me alive here. It seems like the wrong script. There we go. All right, if I've removed the button, does anyone care about that? Seemingly not. I'm sure somebody else does. Let's check. Let's double check here. Act button. Yeah. This one too. Equipment. Equip slot dot visible equals toggle. If toggled on, selected equip equals equipment. Do we need to do anything else? No, because that's the toggle. Selected equip equipment. Equipment dot visible. Oh, sure. Okay, act button removed. It's been a while since you removed those or used those redeems. Yeah, I need some more. All right, I'm coming around to the idea that the cards are too low. Now that we have like the cards being dealt, I'm coming around to the idea that the cards are too low. But I haven't decided what I want to do about it. So we'll have to move the map and or make it smaller. And or reference. Yeah, what I want to do is start to get action stuff sorted out here. So this is how it looks without the action button. Now it's just this grayed out act. I don't know what to do with it. I don't know what to do with this yet. I don't want it to be a button, because none of these are buttons. We're going to put the buttons over here. We might actually work on that. Because we have a couple options on what to work on. Sorry for just clapping into the microphone. One of them is to like totally rewrite how equipment cards resources work so that I can include tags, basically. I was watching like a TTRPG video about how to build weapons for TTRPGs, and I was like, that's relevant. And it was good. It was a good video. And they talked about building weapons modularly using tags, and I was like, that's pretty much exactly what I need to do. And I kind of want to replace the whole resource thing with a tag system, because right now there's a lot of invocations of like actual UIDs, like unique IDs. And I think I would like to replace it with not that. What I think we could do is we could have the game manager store a dictionary, which if it associates certain cards, we know a card is uniquely defined by its name and its level. It has like a compound key, right? Because if a card has the same name and the same level, that's the card. It's the same as some other card with the same name and same level. So I kind of think I need a dictionary that combines those. I don't like compound keys. But I also don't want to create a whole class whose only job is to be like card resource ID. But I might just do it just so I don't care anymore. Just so it's done. Like it's such a minor issue to be like, here's our class. It has 2 fields. It's one of those times where I'm like, I wish Godot had a more lightweight option sometimes. AKA structs. I wish Godot had structs sometimes. I do. I wish they did. I wish not everything was a darn class. Not everything needs to be a class. Okay? Okay. But yeah, the game manager could have a card res lookup. Could be like card res by ID. So we could have like QRST. We could have like I don't think it would be an export variable, but I guess it would, so it can be saved. It'd be like export variable. It would be like card res by ID. And it would be a dictionary. And it's this is where I'm in danger of creating a card res ID. And maybe I should just do it. But is that itself just a card res? Like, ugh. Damn it. Hey, Rhiannon. How's it going? Only have time for a flyby? No worries. Appreciate you swinging by here. I've run into a compound key problem and I don't know how I want to fix it. I guess we could just search the catalog for a card res, for a base card res that has that set. I guess we don't need a lookup. We can just be like, hey, does this already exist? I don't want today to be just Dave rebuilds a spreadsheet day. I learned about the D&D god X Shahel, Lord of Spreadsheets. That cracked me up. It was spelled like EX, maybe it was spelled like ECKS or something like that. It was like X Shahel, and I was like, that is so funny. That's not a new joke, I'm sure, but it is good. It's a goodie. All right, so let's not do that. Let's not do card ID. We'll just have card manager. We'll just have a function. It already has a function. It has get card res by level and name. And the only stupid thing is that it's like a compound thing where we get the cards at a particular level and then we get the cards at that name. Well, we get the cards that named this, and then we get the cards at that level. At the level we want. So stupid. But it works. It works, so we'll probably keep doing it. Let's see, that's usually my litmus test for whether to keep doing something. All right, so forget about that. Forget about that. But yeah, I want to think about what to do with these equip cards. This is our current version of the equip card. I think this is neat. This is probably how, like... I don't think use is a good word here. I think I should have said costs or something like that. This is like the tags I think I would use. And it's something like uses 2 actions. Is that maybe what I should do here? Is that maybe what I should put up here? What if... No, yeah, we'll just associate... I have given myself some trouble here. Whereby, for like the ranger, we treat ammo as a separate item from the bow or whatever. So I need to be careful, because I do want ammo to have an action, like a bow, like an arrow. We do like the idea of an arrow being like a poor man's dagger. And so, like, the ranger could shoot the bow, but they could also, like, Legolas style, like, just stab someone with an arrow. But does that... I guess that's fine. I guess that doesn't really matter. But, like, that won't... Like, an arrow having an action cost doesn't affect the using of the bow. We would just have a check on the bow that says, like, requires arrow or something like that. Or require arrow in offhand, something like that. But yeah, this is where we're gonna put. This is where we're gonna put keywords. Keywords here, including we'll need passive keywords. It's gonna be annoying to have an item that has active effects and passive effects. But I think we can manage that. I read a better definition of reach in this video than reach and then define a number, which reach is just a keyword and it just gives you +1 range. I like that. I like that definition a lot better. Rather than having reach be like an absolute number. That does mean there's maybe some potential for like problems. But yeah, this is the new current version of equipment page. We had an older version, which had good flavor. The level and the XP were in the right spot. And the money area was expanded, but I don't think we're going to do this. But maybe. Maybe we don't need as much space for keywords as I imagine we do. Somebody did something. Hey, Maestro, thank you for the follow. Appreciate you. Happy Wednesday. But yeah, I got to think about how we're going to do all of this, especially this act part. Maybe this is where you put the cost. What if something that has an action or that doesn't cost anything, or it has no action? I guess we could just... I guess what we could do is we could have... I actually don't know what to do about that. Maybe we just don't have text here. So you see, this is what I currently have, is we have like a grayed out passive thing. Maybe what we do is we just don't. Hey, Magoo, nearly a year, 11 months. That's amazing. 1 month away from your platinum DI badge. How's it going, Magoo? It's been a minute. Hey, Helios. If you associate action to an icon, like whatever, like some icon, you can put to icon. Yeah. What we've been using instead of icon is just 3-letter word combos. So I am tempted to change this to be... because that's what we do for the character page. How's it going, Helios? Does it get tiring dragging the sun across the sky every day? So here you have like, here's the actions and here's the number of actions you have available. So my only real concern is if we do that for like an item, is like, if I do this here, my only concern is like, this represents a positive number of actions you have. I guess it's probably intuitive that here it would represent the cost of the action, if there's a cost to taking an action. Magoo, it's been a bit rough with coding OS. You did a TCP/IP client server, socketer, and also an FFmpeg player. Wow, you were prolific. You were prolific. You started 2 more OSs? Oh my god. Hey, Nanigans, how's it going? Happy Wednesday. You can make the number negative to represent cost. Yeah, I could do that, couldn't I? I could do that. Because normally what we do here for like movement, the way I represent the payment of the cost is that I have the minus after the number. We also do that when we level up. So if we find the other knight, you see like 2+. And if we move, you see like 1-. So yeah, maybe if I put the sign before the number, that's probably intuitive enough. It's probably intuitive enough. And that way, let's say you have... Yeah, that seems fine. That seems like we can work with that. When I select this, this should take us into action mode and out of move mode, though. We gotta do that. Let's do that while I'm thinking. So we want to go out of movement mode when I select an item. Or make the number so so positive it breaks the signing. Makes a negative. Oof. I am a little concerned about the scale of numbers and having situations like that, but I think we can fit up to triple-digit numbers here pretty easily. And this game is such that we're never going to deal with I don't even think we're ever going to deal with triple-digit numbers. My only concern is monetary value, which is why I wanted to do like a coin thing. And I figured out a way to make the coin look less weird, which is to do like this. Oop. Change this a little bit. I think that looks a lot better. This is like too much like a 0. If I do this, it looks okay. Oop, that was the wrong way. That's better. I still don't know if we're going to do this, but this would be a good way to guarantee money stuff stays single digit. Because this is like, each one of these is like an order of magnitude. I don't know. I'm tempted to go back to like this. Something like this. I'm tempted to do something like this. And instead of this active or passive thing, maybe what it would do is it would be like, what about this? Because I would really like the level and XP to be over here. I do prefer that. I think this is going to be strictly worse, but I'm just thinking. What if instead we did like, we like moved these pieces over, right? What if we did this? I don't know if there's room to do this, but I'm just spitballing here. Everyone's at Godot Con today. I'm very upset. Very upset I missed it this year. How many coins have holes in the middle? Some do. Some do. But yeah, true enough. Yeah, I don't think there's room here. I thought for a second maybe I could put all the coins here. I could maybe do this if I squash the level icon a little more. Maybe. I can maybe make this one big row. But then what would I do with all this space, right? I don't know. I don't know if I like this. I just wanted to try some stuff. Yeah, this is too cramped. It's okay. I like the amount of space that we have here. I like this. I don't like that the level thing is on the wrong side. Relative to the character sheet. I have to really think up equipment and how actions are coded. I still think we're going to use a tag system, like an enum tag kind of thing. So we can just list the weapon tags, and the weapon tags will say things like, it has an attack. It's a melee attack. It gives you +2 damage. It makes your damage piercing. It has reach. I have to think about how I want to support, if I want to support, I know I want to support this, but I'm thinking about how I want to support things that have like reactions too. Because there's like actions, reactions, and then like passives. So like armor will just passively increase your defense. But you could have something cool like, I don't know. You could already, I want to do things like opportunity attacks, which is like if an enemy moves out of your range, you do your weapon damage to them or something. That's another detail. All right, somehow we're already been doing this for an hour, but I'm still not happy with this. Still not happy with this. Why does it insist that I save this? I don't think I did anything to it, but whatever. Hey, K-Cog, how's it going? Happy Wednesday. All right, so what was I going to do? I was going to make it so that when you selected your weapon or whatever, it took you out of movement mode. So like when you click here, it takes you into movement mode by default. If you equip an item, it selects it and takes you out of movement mode. I wonder if I'm doing that with a toggle. If I'm doing that with a toggle, then what I could actually say is just when this gets toggled, take us out of movement mode. So I think what I'm doing here is I'm saying when I play a card, take us out of movement mode, which is also maybe what I want. Also maybe what I want. Maybe not though. Because if I level up a character, like if I'm in movement mode and I level up my character, I probably still want to be in movement mode. If that's the mode I'm in. So maybe I don't want to do that on card drop. Would these grid lines be better if they were, like, not solid? I think it'd be better if they were dotted. I don't know. I genuinely don't know. Maybe not. They're the kind of things I think about when I'm, when I don't want to do real work. All right, let's do this. Let's do this. This is easy. Let's do the you select an item. Although, I guess it's going to need to be if you select an item and the item has an action. Because if you select your, I don't know, your helmet or something, and your helmet just has like if you're just selecting your armor and your armor doesn't have an action associated with it and it's just like plus defense or whatever. Probably don't necessarily want to leave move mode just because you've selected your rusted cuirass. Or if you drop a card on your rusted cuirass. I don't think you necessarily want to do that. A lot of edge cases to sort out. All right. We're in ads. Hold on to your ads. Oh, we've been in ads for a couple minutes. Cool. All right, we're back. Welcome back. I kind of want to make these move and act buttons. Rather than interpreting, because you know what? Selecting a character. Here's one of the many dangers of doing this as like a sandbox, is you lose sight of how the player is actually going to interact with this stuff, which is why I want to get back to that very quickly. I want to just like put the player in a loop, and I just want to start looking at seeing how the loop plays out. So that's like a huge priority for me. And I want to do that because there's only going to be one character in the turn. Like, it's going to be a character's turn. And it's going to be one of your character's turns, if you care about it, you know. So it'll be, let's say it's the knight's turn. The knight should be auto-selected. You should be able to select other people so you can, like, look at them. I do want you to be able to see their health just here. We're going to do a health bar in the roster tab. So, like, this tab will fill up with their health. So it should be full. At the moment, it's empty because I haven't implemented this idea. But I want you to be able to see everyone's health at a glance. But if you want any more details, you can select characters. Obviously, there's only one character you're going to be able to affect, which is the character whose turn it is. Which I should maybe call out with like some kind of UI thing. So if you hit the move or the act button, it should just, it's only in the context of that character who's active anyway. So if you're like checking the items on like one of your other party members for some reason to decide if like, oh, should I give this guy the sword I just drew? Or should I give the sword to someone else? Like you're going to be doing stuff like that on not necessarily that character's turn. So so none of this stuff actually, now that I'm thinking about it, unless it's their turn, none of this stuff should be flipping over the mode that you're in. So I really want to switch to that. And what we need to do for that is we need to start authoring some environments, like an environment with like a level layout, some characters sprinkled about the level. I really need to make sure I don't accidentally write a tool for doing this. That's the big thing. It's the big thing I want to make sure I don't accidentally do, but we're probably going to do it eventually. Probably eventually going to write a tool for building levels. But I don't want to do it. Certainly don't want to do it now. Right now I just need characters to be acting, to be able to do stuff. And specifically for characters to be able to be acting, their items need to be able to describe what they can do, which is hence the conundrum. No, it's not a block editor, it's a map editor. There's a difference. Technically, it's a scenario editor. Actually, the way I'm probably going to do it is we're going to have this environment map scene, and I will probably make the environment map a tool script. And then so what I can do, this is how we're going to avoid creating a scenario editor until the game is much further along and I decide I want to support mods or custom campaigns or whatever. What we're going to do in the short term, and we're not going to do it, we're not going to make a map editor. Maybe as like a 1.0 feature, we'll add like a scenario editor or a campaign editor or something like that. Mod support, that stuff. Way down the line. What we're going to do instead is you're just going to fill out your map here. You're going to spawn in the characters that you want, blah, blah, blah. And then there's going to be a special export variable, which is going to be like save map or something like that. And it'll be a tool script, some export field, and you can click it and it will serialize that version of the map out to like a file in the project here somewhere. And that way we can build many maps in one map and not worry about it, which is why earlier I was saying I don't think the environment manager is going to have a reason to exist. I think we're going to get rid of the environment manager, which would be pretty good for us, actually. Because right now all it is a piece of glue that connects the environment map to the run. But if the map isn't actually being respawned, it's being like deserialized from like a data, then we don't actually need to instantiate the map. We just need to replace it with the right data. Like we need to go through and replace the tiles and stuff. So that's what I'm going to do. That's what I'm going to do. We are not making a map editor. We're not doing it. LSG. Everyone is so mean. Everyone's piling on. I'm describing the process we're going to use to avoid making a map editor, which is going to be a little scuffed, but we're going to take advantage of the fact that Godot is an editor and that we can use Godot to edit things without building our own editors. It's going to require a little bit of discipline in that I'm going to need to make sure that whenever I save the scene, I'm saving it in some kind of base state. I mean, I could still do the thing. So here's the thing. I could do this where each environment map scene is its own self-contained map. But that's just not in line with how our serialization and deserialization system works. So rather than come up with an exception to maps for deserialization, I will just use the model we have created and it will be fine. It will be fine. We're not building any editors. We are building 0 editors. Oh my god, everyone is the worst. You're all banned from the chat. Why are we not using raylib? Because we don't cast rays. Next question. How's it going? How's it going, Snow? I feel like that's how to pronounce your name. At least we're not building a voxel game. True. Oh my god. Look, chat doesn't have a memory. You can't make a joke about what I'm going to do because people will pop in and be like, what are we doing? The Twitch chat context rot is too high. Y'all criticizing me while you work on your voxel games. All right. So we're gonna make some buttons today because I am like cooked. I think I'm gonna work on the data model for the items tonight. I don't want to just sit and stare at a spreadsheet for the rest of the stream, so we're gonna do something more fun and we're gonna make a button. We're gonna make a couple buttons here. We'll have to decide if we want to use iconography for the buttons. I think we'll have room, but we'll just need to decide. So where's our other buttons? Oh, some of this stuff we can just absolutely get rid of. Get rid of all this. We don't need any of these. Get rid of these. Why are there so many of these? What is this? PNG file. PNG file. Oh, I see. Get rid of these. Just cleaning up some files here. Get rid of these. I don't know why that exists. All right. So where? Here it is. So this is the last set of buttons I made. These are our undo redo menu buttons. So we're going to do something similar here, but we're going to do it for move and act. How big are these buttons? 100 by 34. Okay. So we'll start with 100 by 34. Let's make a game without sprites. That sounds good to me. I've definitely tried to make games where we're directly drawing things and we don't actually use sprites. That can be fun. That usually relies on like a compute shader. can be good. Can be good. All right, let's take the base because I think the base is going to be the same. Okay, we got our base. Make sure this is the base. Drop the base. Base has been dropped. We're going to call this the move act sprite atlas. So first thing, we will widen this to 200 so we can have... Actually, I think the act is going to be shorter than the move, and the move might be bigger than 100. So let's do the move button first. Is actually a little bigger. How did I organize this? Base, icon, mask, text. Okay. I kind of want to have the icon be dynamic and like show you which item, but I feel like that's redundant. It would probably be cooler to have just like a fist or something, or like a... I don't know how I would communicate movement. It might help you. It might help me and you for us to keep the icon of the character that you're moving. What did I say? Mask? And then text. Hey, Snow, thanks for the follow. Appreciate you. You saw someone talking about their game where every sprite is defined in code and text. Each character looks up into a palette and everything is built dynamically at runtime. That's pretty neat. That's pretty neat. I think there's some cool use cases for doing that with sprites, for like doing recolors and stuff. Like, I think it's pretty neat to have your sprite palletized such that you can be like, you can just swap out the color palette. Like, let's say you have like you use like a grayscale or something, or you use whatever, and then those color swatches are actually IDs into a palette. It's like UV mapping, right? You're just like, you're just UV mapping a sprite. That can be very useful. Defining it in text is crazy. Crazy. Hey, Stinky Sandwich, how's it going? Instead of move and act, how about skedaddle and battle? Oh, that touches me. As a member of Skedaddle Nation, that is funny. So they started with literally drawing everything in the text editor before they realized they could draw an A sprite and have a small script to turn it into an ASCII format. Oof. Big oof. Snow, you're building one. You have no will to continue. It was done in drawing using shaders. You wanted the game run on very old GPUs. Interesting. Downgraded version of modern MOBA minimized. That sounds cool. Sounds hard, but cool. I've definitely had weird forced perspective, like rendering solutions that I've come up with that were really weird, and it caused me to do really weird things to try to make it work. And I was just like, why am I doing this? Hey, Sandwich, how's it going? Oh, you said you're good, and you asked me how I'm doing. I'm good. We're working on our Roguelike Deckbuilder, where you draft an RPG party. We're adding one last set of buttons down here, which is going to be your move and act buttons. Just so that if you're like looking at another character and you're like, I want to move now, you can like click the move button, and it will like take you to the character whose turn it is. Or you can be like, I want to act now, and it'll take you to that character and like pick an action. It'll probably default to like the primary weapon. And then I'll have to decide a priority list if you don't have a primary weapon. Like, it'll probably be like primary, offhand. And then it'll probably like cycle through your abilities in like descending order or something. I don't know. We'll have to see. Because you still need to be able to act even if you have nothing equipped, which is just like fisticuffs. We'll have to decide how that looks. I wonder if I want the character icon just once. And then it's move or act. Or if I specifically want... because act is 3 letters, I probably have room for an icon of the thing that's selected. And I'll just have to decide what to do if there are no weapons. Maybe we'll just have a fist icon. that we can make. That could be neat. Hey, Commander, how's it going? That's super cool. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Stinky. Appreciate that. Time to head out. All right, see you, Sapphire. Are you going to add anything else than move and act, since this seems super polished? Those are the two big verbs, in that you can move your character around, or you could take an action to do something with your character. Some of that will be abilities. Some of that will be weapon attacks. But I think those are the two big verbs for the characters. They can die. Characters can die. That's not a verb. The thing you posted, I think it was you were sharing something about this like kind of spreadsheet game you were doing, Commander. That looked interesting. What's up with that? Oh yeah, did you have your interview? That's the thing we all want to know. So you were trying to make the game have an 8-way directional movement grid, simplifying physics calculations, never using floating values. You realize Godot wouldn't allow you to do that. You had to convert to float for the last mile. Ooh. Yeah, fair. No, I've definitely had my share of like annoyance at the way Godot has done things. Like we built my last game that I was working on, I ended up building a whole separate simulation in C# that just didn't touch the engine. We just only used the engine for rendering and UI. And it was for stuff like that. I was like, I want my simulation objects to be structs, not classes, because like everything in Godot is a class. And so yeah, I get it. Trying to work within those constraints can be really challenging. All right, so we have our base for one of these. We need to generate text. So let's generate some text. I think it's this scale. I might be wrong about the scale. Yeah, no, it is this scale. Okay, so here's move. And we probably want a spot here. We probably want a space here for the character icon. How big is the character icon when rendered at this scale? I don't know if we can afford to render it at this scale. It's 34 by 34. Yeah, we could render it at half scale. So if we look at like, I don't know, a roster tab or something. Roster tabs. If we look at a roster tab, how much space do we allow for this? 21 by 21 with the shadow. 20 by 20 if I just wanted to be centered. So this is how much room we would need if we were going to do it like this. Yoink. Okay. I could probably just take this icon. I don't actually want it to be in the thing, but is it like this? No. Is it like this? That doesn't look right. Are these buttons bigger? Oh, the buttons are bigger than the roster tabs. Right. Okay. Probably this. That's probably what I would do. So I need to make more room for things. How much more room do we need, though? At least 4. Is this okay in terms of spacing? Yeah, it's okay. I wonder, let's look at our spell icons. We might actually have some icons that we could use here. Spell. Or I could use a boot icon for move. Is that maybe good? Hey, Nix. Stinky, you're making an FPS Ultra Kill inspired game on Godot? Ooh, that sounds fun. If people want to share their projects or, you know, whatever, get help with Godot or whatever, we do have a Discord. I just linked it. It's a programming game on a spreadsheet. Oh, okay. The game you showed, each column of the spreadsheet's a processor. And each row is an instruction, and they run in parallel, but can pass data between processors and even input and desired output. That's cool. There's definitely a crowd that loves that kind of thing. So for armor, there's the boots icon. We could just use the boot to signify movement. That seems reasonable. I'd probably use this version of it. Maybe I'd probably use this version of it, actually. And then for action, we could use the gloves, maybe? I don't think the gloves actually read super well. But we could use it. We could use the boots for move and the gloves for act. If we didn't want to actually dynamically plug in the character icon, which I guess we actually don't need to do, because when you select move or act, it's going to bring up the character. So you'll see the character. So I think it might be overkill to do that. Let's see. Let's see what else we got. All right. Enjoy your lurk. Ooh, a jar of ice cream. That sounds good. Snow, another project you had was a card game, but full terminal mode. You realized too late your idea of having a smaller game was soon debunked. ASCII art is heavier than JPEG images? I know someone showcased like an ASCII renderer. It was like a text renderer for playing videos. It looked really interesting. There were a lot of people that reacted with a panic about it. They were like, oh my God. We're gonna have unblockable ads or whatever. It's like, But it was cool. From a technical standpoint, it looked super cool. All right, so what are our options for VFX spells? We have Bite, Burn, Hearts, Impact, Lightning, and Slash. Is that it? That's all we have? Oh, these are VFX. That's not spells. That's VFX. Where are spells? Are they under items for some reason? No. Slightly confused. I know there are spells. Somewhere. Environment? No. Oh, have I just not converted those? I might not have converted them yet. Oh no, they're right here. They're a single spell. They're single atlas. Great. Any of these useful? It'd be cool if there was one that was like just a fist or something. Nope. Super useful. That's okay. Yeah, we could use the boots and the gloves, I guess. Or maybe we don't even want to use an icon. I don't know. These gloves are not my favorite. Maybe they read okay, though. So, like, for move, I don't know, we'd probably take this one. We'd take one of these, too. Probably the yellow one. Why are they so wee? The heck is this? Okay, here we go. So what if I put this like here? It's too small for one thing. It would need to be doubled. They're at doubled might be too much. Yeah, maybe they could be small. I don't think it's super coherent if I do that. I'm trying to make it coherent with like our undo redo. How big are these guys? How big are these icons? But I also made these icons. Yeah, which is why they're 24 by 24. They're a weird size. I don't think I can scale these up that way. Maybe we don't do this. Maybe this is just dumb. So I don't think, yeah, they read even worse if I don't properly scale them. This is too big. Maybe not. Maybe it's okay. Let's try it. Let's try it. Let's try it. Is this the same yellow at least? It is. Good. Just leave that here for now. Make some more space. Expand the base. Let's color in the text here. This is the same resolution as we'd use here, right? Ooh, that's not the same orange. Okay, that's good to know. The lightning, maybe. Hey, Latin Ignition. Maybe. That could be okay, actually. This one, the big one. That could be okay for act. What would move be, though? Could use the arrow for move. That's actually not the worst. My problem is... Well... My problem is one of hesitation more than anything else. So what we're doing is we're trying to make a new button here up top. It'll probably work like our menu undo redo button because we have this bottom row that works like it's just icons for most of the buttons. But now that I have placed an object, I can go over undo and it kind of pops over. So I kind of wanted a similar iconography. I guess what I could just do is use an arrow for move. Just a sideways facing arrow. But my problem is I'm concerned about that being confusing with end turn. So if anyone has like an arrow, a right facing arrow, it should probably be the end turn button. And I would be concerned about using it. I honestly might even add that to here. Like expand this out and add an arrow. I probably will do that, actually. And we do have more space up here, which is good. You love the boot, but the gauntlet is kind of ass. Yeah, the gauntlet does actually look like a gauntlet. To me, the gauntlet is better than the gloves. And I was considering using the gloves, but yeah, they're out of context. They look really wrong for this. Like, this is okay, maybe, but yeah, it's not the best. I think I would need to do my own icons in line with these icons. I just don't quite know what those would be. But yeah, I think I would need to use kind of a similar iconography. And I might go back and do that for the end turn button. Yeah, the boots are good though. Yeah, it's too much texture and everything. What if we did something like this? What if the move icon was like, how big is the bars here? 4? Okay. What if it was like, if it was like this? Yeah, it doesn't really communicate anything. I thought maybe we could get like a ... kind of situation. That doesn't really look like anything though. And what if we put an arrow at the end of it? What if I took this? Where is that sprite sheet? My organization is so bad. I really gotta take a look at this and reorganize things. What if I took these? What if I took these and used these? Because I actually have an iconography for moving, and it's this. So maybe I actually can use arrows for move, and people wouldn't be that confused. Maybe that would be actually pretty straightforward to do. I'm still a little concerned about confusion with end turn. But maybe it's actually okay. Maybe we do use the boots. I don't know. I don't really want to texture the icon. Like if I use the boots, I'd want to flatten them a little bit, but I think they would start to lose recognizability if I did that, if I flattened them. So I don't think I can do that. I mean, I could use this arrow, but I think that would be confusing. I might just need a custom solution. I just need to draw it out. Okay, what if we made this bigger? What if we added another one of these? Like this. I probably want to change the spacing a little bit. How big are these? This is double. That's 8. I think maybe something like this could be okay for move. I think the break and the dot in the dash is like super crucial for communicating the move part of it. Not totally sold, but how much room do I have over here? Is that 6? It is. Okay. I really just want coherence. Coherence is an important part of this for me. I don't know if that's actually improved by doing it this way. No, that's confusing, actually. It's probably better. I realize I'm realizing this version of the arrow has a very different resolution. But it's a curved shape, so maybe people won't really care. Also, what layer am I on? Okay, the wrong one. The wrong one, as usual. I think that's okay. Need to bring this in a little. What size does that make this? Some awkward size. 110. That's not that bad, actually. This also doesn't have to be perfect. I know everything I'm doing is like super polished because that's just what I like to do. I like to just... To me, it needs to look like it could be done, even if it's not done. It's not the most efficient way to work, but it looks good. This looks okay. I feel like this is passable. I think the gap in the dash arrow is really important. I think this is serviceable as a move button. My real question is this square? Is this icon square? Probably isn't. Not really. Actually, definitively not. So I would need to trim this more. To make it square. That's better. It's still like not great. It's still like too big. But maybe it's okay. Actually, it's okay. Actually, it's all right. So this isn't going to be 100. It's still bigger than the other one. That's okay. I think that's okay. I think that'll fit. Now we need an act button. I need to give myself some room here. Whoop. Do that. All right, now what are we going to do for act? Is the thing that I'm kind of dreading. Here. Start with this piece. Is the text actually balanced here? 6? 6? Okay, it is. Same here. Nope, too low. Too low. Nope. Something like that. All right, I think I have to like draw a fist or something, which I don't want to do. Let me look at the fist icons here. I really don't want to do this. All right, what do we want? Do we want knuckle forward? I kind of want the knuckle forward one. I think I could do that like my UI. With the UI style that I have. Yeah, we'll try that. Finish the text first, though, while I think about that. Knuckle forward would be good, mostly rectangle too. That's why I'm thinking. I'm thinking it'll look like my hamburger. It should look like a flipped version of the hamburger bars. Maybe a little bit of rounding, but that's what I'm going to start with. I probably need to do it narrower. Like, we probably can't have them be 4 wide. We'll start with 3 wide. Probably isn't room for 4 wide. So I'm just going to start with bars, and then we'll trim them down here. The only real question is... well, maybe I could do 4 wide. And then there needs to be like a thumb. Kind of at the bottom. Somehow. Just looking at spacing right now. You have like something coming across and then over like this. I don't quite know how to do the thumb part. Maybe I don't really need to do the thumb very much. I do think I want to thicken these up. Maybe 4 wide. I still kind of want them to have a gap, but maybe they shouldn't. But I kind of want them to anyway. Should they be different sizes? Should they like taper? Probably. No, the thumb one needs to like extend out a little. And either be underneath like this and come up or something. I don't know how to do the thumb part. Maybe it could be under. Maybe it could be like set under a little bit. Maybe out. Or shortened pixel art, yeah. I am not a drawer of things. It's getting closer to what I think it would look like. It'd probably be over by one here. Just a slight overlap, maybe. It's too far from the word. Interesting. Which is actually not a big problem, but it makes me think I kind of want more of a gap because I want the orange line. And the only real question is, do I want anything between them? Probably not. Unless I want something at the top that connects them all. So I can either do it like this where it's solid, which I think is too heavy visually. So I think I do want to split them. Let's deal with the thumb in a minute. I feel like the thumb is the hardest part, but also the most important part. Should this go up even farther? If that makes sense. Also, why am I on the text layer? What's wrong with me? Get this over to the icon layer. Wrong layer, Dave. Do I want to stagger the whole thing? It could be interesting. I don't think you want it to go up and down totally like this. I think you want the bottom to be the same, and the top you want to have like on a slight graph. And so the only real question is, how far down do these go? This has 3 on the top. 3 on the bottom seems fine. And then what we really just need is, I'm probably just going to cheat and go like really abstract and just put like something here. And then I might offset it, I guess. That doesn't look like a fist yet. It's probably not going to, but we're going to try. How much space do I have here? Too much space on the left. Move it over a little. So one thing I thought I could do is I could maybe like put it under. I could also put the whole thing at an angle, but I really don't want to do that. It's too big, this icon. This icon is too big. I actually should check to see how much space I have. So I actually have a finite space here. This is the space I have. So up until here. So that's actually close to the space that I want to use. Look at these guys. Now this has a lot of space. I think it's too big, so I think I make the fingers smaller. Makes sense. There's 4 of them, so it's okay that they're 3 wide. So the hamburger menu is there's 3 of them, so it's okay that they're 4 wide. So I can move all of this over. They need to be rounded? I don't think so. Maybe though. Just trying stuff now. I don't really want to round it, but I'm willing to try. This is the sort of thing that I usually do at night, alone, because it's a slow process. And the thing about pixel art is it doesn't look like anything. Excuse me. Oh, thanks. Thanks, Nanigans. Take it easy. Yeah, these don't look like fingers. And since they don't look like fingers, I think I just lean into that and try not to make them look like fingers. I think I maybe do have to bring them together. I don't want to. But I don't think they read as fingers while they're separate. I don't think this reads as anything either, but... Closer. Closer. They're too tall. I don't know what to do about the underlaid thumb is my problem. Maybe I don't try to do anything. Maybe I just move it under more. It's not really working. It's an okay idea, but it's not really working. Alright. Take it easy, Rhiannon. I think if I was a better artist, it could work, though. This is a good amount of space that we're taking up. Just don't know how to get the thumb in here. I think the bar graph is starting to look right. Maybe what I need is I need more of like this part of the thumb. So how far over does the thumb go? About that far? Yeah, this isn't working. Oh, that looks disgusting. Whatever I just did there. So I don't think I actually want this. Maybe like a little bit, but not much, if at all. Maybe I try to do the other one. Maybe I try to do the hand, the solidarity, instead of the fist. Instead of the fist forward, maybe we try to do this one. This one I might be able to manage. Might be able to manage the fist gesture. Oh yeah, there's a Twitch one, isn't there? It's a Twitch fist. What's that called? I actually don't know. That has just one bit in the middle. Let's try to do the other version. Let's try to do the version where it's like a fist up instead of a fist out. I don't think that reads correctly. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to make this work. I don't think I'm going to be able to make it work. I like it with gaps. I like it here with gaps. Maybe with the gaps help, actually. Can we get close? I feel like we could get close with this. Does this go out further? Where is this? 6. Is the thumb, should the thumb be thicker? Thanks, Rhiannon. Take it easy. I think this is rather bad. But I don't know if I'm going to get better. I think I can maybe adjust the thumb a little bit and be okay. Yeah, this doesn't look like anything. What if I cut part of this out and made some room for this? Maybe put it back. Man, art is hard. Art is hard. Okay, I think we could maybe do the raised fist gesture. And I think that would communicate the same thing, but I don't think I'm going to succeed at the... succeed with the fisticuffs thing. Maybe it's the wrong direction. Maybe if I flipped it horizontally, reads a little better. Not really. Yeah, I think I'm going to need to try to do... Ooh, we could try to do this one. I'm going to try this one real quick. Kind of just looking at like some basic silhouettes that other people are using. So I think what actually should happen... Well, all my shadows are on the wrong side now. I guess I have to decide if I want to flip that. Raised fist communicates a more positive version of act, you think? Yeah, because it's not necessarily... You're not, like, necessarily going to bludgeon someone to death. You're just doing something with your hands. I think it's too wide. It's too wide, but I really don't want to bring it in all the way because the gap is really the only way I can communicate certain things. So what if we took one of these bars? What if we cut this bar short, basically? Instead did this. Do I need to represent the whole hand? Like, do I need to draw the bottom part of the hand? Probably a bit, at least. Yeah, it's too wide. It's too wide, that's for sure. Which maybe... It's too wide and too tall, so I gotta make it smaller somehow. It's not really lining up with my aesthetic, the design aesthetic I have for the UI, which is really minimal. Is there a trick I can do? Where's that armor? Yeah, it's the icons I have don't really work. Is there an easier answer that I'm just ignoring? I think there is. I think it would be super cool. Yeah. The Black Panther Party. 4 arrows pointing towards a center. Okay, yeah, that's something. I was gonna just do downward pointing arrow. I was just gonna do an arrow pointing to the ground. I'm not like not a great artist. I'm okay if the resolution is really small, but I'm not the kind of person that can do expressive stuff here. I think doing a fist is going to be too inconsistent with our current system. We're just going to try a downward facing arrow. Exclamation mark's an interesting idea, though. Maybe with a ground line. Ooh, maybe a ground line. Maybe a ground line is a good idea. Can also make this a little longer, so it doesn't have that gap. What are the margins like on these? 4? Pretty much across the board, 4. Okay. My only real concern is that this icon will be too narrow if it's just an arrow by itself. That's the main issue. But that's not the worst problem to have. We got 1 gap, 2 gap. Let's move this up. That's I think I'd want a double pixel line here if I was to do a ground line. Probably move it up a little more. Oop, that moved all of them. Move this up 1 more before it starts to look weird. Two, 3, 4, 5. It's not great. I think this could be worse. 2 arrows? What about 3 arrows? The lightning bolt was not bad. That's not a bad idea. Is this too thick? Because I think this is up too high. Oh no, it extends the same. I think it's okay. I think it's okay. Because it is true. Here's something that is true. Every action requires some target. Some tile target. So, I think this is okay. 2 swords crossing in an X form. That would be badass, Rimas. With like a pot leaf behind it. I'm playing. How's it going? I'm not making fun of your idea. I'm criticizing my own lack of artistic talent. Close to the ground arrow? Nah, too close. This one maybe though? I'm gonna say this is maybe good enough for now. It's not great. It's not great. But it might be good enough for now. It's way too small, relatively. Oops. That compared to the other icons, but is it centered at least? Kind of. It is centered at least, if nothing else. How the rest of these work? Okay, so it's like 1 over. Now here's the real question. What is the relative size of this together? Because there's actually a very specific size that we have to match up to, and it's the size of the end turn button. Uncle Sam finger pointing straight at you. That would be funny. Nothing on the Itchy store? Yeah, there probably is. We've just... The rest of our UI icons are custom. Like, I drew them. So, we just want them to be coherent. And I think this is fine. I don't think this is amazing. I think this is fine. Let's compare it with the size, the max size, though. How's it going, though? I kind of like the 4 arrows pointing towards the center, but I don't want to draw diagonal arrows. I guess diagonal arrows aren't that bad. You know what we could have done, maybe? I'm like thinking about icons that are like good enough for this. Would the weapon, would like the hammer icon have been good? I don't think I think it has too many colors. But I think the weapon icon could have been okay, like the hammer or something. I think the hammer could have been okay. I don't think it would have been coherent with everything else we were doing. But I think in a separate world, that would have been an okay. That would have been an okay icon for acting. I think it'd be confusing, but see that's why I was like, what if we plug in the icon for the character that's moving and or acting? I was like, what if we do that? But that's, I think, a little redundant because their character sheet will pop open and you'll know which character is acting. Like, you'll just know. Like, it'll be obvious. It'll be literally obvious. At least the move one works with the move line system that we use, dotted C, which is the system that we use for... We have other ones, but I did not like them as much. I think this will be fine. What was I checking? Oh yeah, I was checking to see if it lines up with the end turn button. Super tired. You're gonna take a lurk, take a long nap. That sounds good. Have a good nap. Thanks for the lurk. I'm pretty tired too. But the day is not nearly over. We've got, I don't know, another 45 minutes in the stream. Then I have to go back to work. Then when I'm done with work, I need to go to a co-working, I have a virtual game dev co-working event. So I work 12 to 14 hours a day. And I'm starting to feel it. I'm starting to feel the effects of it. Maintaining this intensity of work while having a day job is a real struggle. I'll tell you that. I'm gonna try to pull back next week and take some time back from work. I do have something I'm looking forward to. I'm going to go see the Odyssey tomorrow. And I'm very excited for that. What am I doing? Oh yeah, checking the end turn button length. So this is the length that the total sum of the two buttons together can be. And it is 130, counting the gap pixels. Is that what we can achieve here? So what do we get if let's say I move this over here. Say I move this like this. Actually, I'm not sure how I measure this. 100. 130 is here. Nope. Wait, that's just 126. 130. Where's 130? Oh, I'm like looking at the diagonal measurements. I'm like, why does the diagonal measurement make literally no sense? Because it's the diagonal measurement. Okay, it's till here. That actually might work. Mostly. Oh, by Glob, a Starlight Lacanu raid. Welcome, raiders. Big raid today. Hey, Galderton Gaming, Stargate Blue, Schemer Codes. How was the stream, Starlight? What have you been up to? We are working on my little roguelike deck builder here called Party Wipe. It's a roguelike deck builder where you draft an RPG party. We're trying to finish up the UI right now. We're working on a move and act button pairing. The big problem with the move and the act button pairing is that the act button is shorter than the move button. Why isn't that a problem here? I don't know why. I guess I got lucky with the undo menu, undo, redo. I got lucky that these are all the same size. Yeah, the next thing we really need to work on is actions, taking actions with your character. You can play cards. We've got this whole big undo redo serialization system and for the cards, for card playing and moving and everything. And you can move your character. They have a budget, how far they can move each turn. But what we really need to do is you have a bunch of equipment for your character. So like I can equip this sword. Problem is the equipment doesn't really describe what it does yet, so we don't have an action system. So that's kind of the next thing we do. We finished up movement yesterday, so we're working on act. I'm just adding a little UI element to make it obvious when you're in move mode versus act mode, and so that you can just click a button and enter either. Right now it defaults to move because that's the only thing I can test really, but we're getting along. I hope your work is going well. Your stream went well. You played some Halo 3 ODST, then you chipped away at your 3D VTuber model in Blender. It's looking nice. That's what it is. It's looking. We've taken a very UI forward approach to developing this game because I haven't ever really done a card game before. So I was like, I want to work out how all of the UI and the cards and everything works, you know? So we did that first, and now we're starting to work on like the turn-based battle map stuff, the like turn-based tactics part. Because your cards are just the nouns. They're like your equipment and your abilities and your characters. And you'll have a whole party. So it's about kind of keeping enough resources on the battlefield that you don't party wipe. It's supposed to be a pretty brutal game. Like I'm expecting a high amount of like character death and stuff. So it's more about keeping it rolling than it is like having these perfect characters that are fully kitted. But yeah, we did all the UI stuff first, and now we're getting to, okay, well now we have all of this and we need like a turn-based battle map that you can play out these encounters in. That's kind of what we're working on now. But yeah, we needed serialization because it's a turn-based game, so we needed to be able to undo and redo freely. So you can change your mind about stuff. You can also undo card plays. So one of the tricks of the game is that it's about kind of like leveling up and thinning your deck. So you can play this spear, it's level 1. And now if I have another spear, I could play a second spear. And now when this character dies, or, you know, if I'm like, I don't need a spear, I need a maul because my enemy is like resistant to piercing damage, you're like, okay, I'll swap it out for the maul. So now the spear goes back into the discard at level 2. So you're trying to like improve your characters. This is how we've like organized mechanically how character improvement goes. Because you also want to thin your deck. So that's kind of the thrust of it. Appreciate a well-designed UI. Yeah, because the other option is we do the simulation first and then try to strap a UI over it. And I think everyone here has played a game that's been developed in that order, where there's like a bunch of cool complex systems and the UI is crazy because they came up with the game systems first and then figured out what the UI to represent it would be. So we kind of did it upside down. But thank you again for the raid. Let me give you that shout out before I forget. You gotta run, no worries. Are you targeting an end of year release? I'm gonna try the Steam. We want Steam demo by the end of the year. I'm aiming to release the Steam demo like right around Christmas. That's the goal. Our first playtesting event is in about a month. So we're really scrambling just to get the basic loop up. We've been in sandboxing mode, just getting it all working, but I really want to switch to like game loop development, looking at the progression and everything. But to do that, we need to both move and act. So we're working on actions. That involves a lot of spreadsheet work, which I'm not doing on stream right now because I think that would be even more boring than what I'm currently doing. Latin Ignition, how much work have you done on the game design front, or are you just building systems for now? It depends on what you mean. I haven't done a lot of balance or anything. We're mostly working on systems. We'll balance it out as we play it in terms of like what cards are there, like what equipment is there, like what are the abilities for the characters. Like I think a lot of that is going to emerge through play. The high level stuff in terms of how the game progresses, like and how the loops work, that stuff's mostly figured out. But we've been working on this game for about 2 months, something like that. A little less than 2 months. maybe 7 weeks or something like that. So pretty young game in terms of I've certainly worked on games for much longer and gotten less far. How many lines of code do you already have? I don't know, Evgeny. I don't love that as a metric, but I don't know. It's a good question. You're gonna lurk and rest? No worries. Thank you so much. Thank you for the raid. Yeah, I don't know what line. We've certainly got some systems that are getting longer. They're getting longer. Like, I think our environment map script is like a few hundred lines. But yeah, I try to be... This isn't my environment map. This is the character sheet. I actually probably have a higher line count than someone else would, or even myself if I was in a language with bracers, curly braces. But because this is an indentation-based language, I find myself declaring extra variables and having extra lines just to preserve horizontal space. So I feel like GDScript inflates your lines of code count. Especially if you're using the built-in IDE, because like I don't want my code to like run off the edge very far. But yeah, there's not. This is probably our biggest script, and it's only 400 lines of code. We split it up pretty significantly. All right, so what we're trying to do is sort out these last couple buttons here: move and act. I don't think the iconography is brilliant, but I think it'll do. Figured that solid game, I think a solid game would have roughly like 90,000 lines of code. I don't know. I don't know if you need to get there. I think lines of code, as soon as you treat it as a KPI, loses all of its meaning, right? Like any other KPI. But I think it's interesting for maybe analysis reasons. Like, where's the complexity? I think measuring complexity is good, but it's like lines of code doesn't matter, right? But like, I think essential complexity matters, which I don't exactly know how to define, but I kind of know what it means. Like, I think like tracking control flow is probably better. I think I need to bring this in a little. On the edge here. What we really need to do is we need to put these next to each other and see what kind of... Oh, I'm skipping some steps here. So let's see this. So this is like 6 lines. Am I equalizing this by... How did I make it so that these are the same length? Have I just moved things around? A little bit. I think that's what I'm doing. I think that's how I'm managing this. How many gaps is this? Okay, so these actually aren't the same size, but their container is the same size, and I'm kind of doing some tricks to make that happen. Chris, you think of lines of code as an inverse KPI? Yeah, I agree with that. It's like pure for analysis reasons. Yeah. No, for sure, Evgeny. Yeah, I think the only people that are wrong are the people that are like the do you even lift? Like, how many lines of code do you have? Because, man, you know what's made it easy to generate lots of shitty lines of code that don't do anything? AI. We're not going to talk about AI. I'm just saying. You want to talk about a workflow that generates an absolute metric ton of lines of code that don't do anything. But yeah, I think it's interesting to think about. I think Godot does a lot of favors to help people avoid a lot of that stuff, a lot of unnecessary stuff. Like the signals system in Godot does a great job of like minimizing the amount of like checking and like validating and like, oh, should I do this now or should I do this now? There's a lot of stuff in Godot that just hides a lot of that for you and saves you a lot of time. So I think I want to bring this in. I think I am right that I want to bring this in a little bit, but it is rather small. So I thought it would be okay that act is shorter than move because I honestly thought we were going to put an icon here, and maybe we still do. Maybe we still do. Maybe there's room. Maybe there's room. If anything, what we need to do here is we need to start expanding this out because we need to start making the different versions of the buttons. So if I wanted to do that, what would that look like? I'm actually going to mock something up here. So we can test the size of this thing. Hope everyone's having a fine Wednesday here. I'm going to bring this up here and I want to do it like the way I've done this. So we want two versions of the icons, one on the left, one on the right, just for flexibility. But what I really want to do at the moment is I want to check to see how big. So let me do this. Let's take this iconography and copy it up. I essentially want to see what it looks like when one of the buttons is collapsed and the other one isn't, because that's kind of how these work for us. We're basically creating another button row, like the way the menu button row works here, where these are disabled until they're not. And when they're enabled, you can like do this kind of unique, it's a tab and then you can go over it and it expands. And I kind of want to do that with the move and act thing. And it's all contextual. So like if we can't undo, we can probably redo. If we can't redo, we can probably undo. If we end the turn, we can't do either. We just reset the history. So we want something like that. We need it to be about the same size as the end turn button. We could make the end turn button bigger. I almost considered adding like an icon to this, but maybe not. Maybe we want it to be, I think we want it to be about the size of the end turn button. Does it need to be exactly the size of the end turn button? Probably not. Do I want it to be? Kind of. If it's a little shorter, that would be okay, I guess. We need to figure out where we're going to represent the player's money, because there really isn't a lot of space. We might make it so that it only shows up when you're in the shop or something like that. I also have to fully decide how I want to represent money. At the moment, there's just a value that's assigned to each piece of equipment. But I kind of prefer doing like a coinage or something. We've done that. We did that on the previous version of it. We had like the coinage written out of like, and we used icons. But we don't really do that for anything else. So I didn't really want to do that. So I don't know. We'll have to decide. It would help us do keeping numbers small though. End turn is like more important than menu button. Might be bigger, so it's harder to miss. Maybe even vertical. Yeah. We could also move stuff around. Like if we could theoretically move and turn up and put move and act underneath, but I think from a flow standpoint, that's kind of weird. I think eventually, I think very quickly the player will realize all of their buttons are down in this corner. So I think associatively, they'll figure it out. I don't think it will take very long. We're definitely trying to have as minimal a UI as possible, which is why everything is big and chunky. And yet still somehow I've accidentally made like the icons, which are the smallest things, like the most important. I now see how Slay the Spire ended up in that position. Because you know we're going to eventually need more tooltips to describe things. Like if you want to know about your defense, eventually you're going to want to know... I might actually switch these to the other side or something again. Because you know eventually you're going to need to click on that defense so you can be like, oh, I have 8 armor from like my armor, and then I have like 2 resistance to fire from like this necklace, and like 3 resistance from poison from like this, I don't know, whatever, this, whatever. So you know we're going to be putting more tooltips and shit in here soon, but I'm trying to keep it minimal. It'd be really annoying to miss undo redo and push end turn. That's a good point. They are next to each other. That would be annoying. Yeah, maybe moving end turn up and having move and act under would be okay. Then if move and act are a little bigger or a little differently sized, that's okay because we get like a step. That could be okay. It'd be awkward if they're shorter, but if they're bigger, that could be good. Yeah, that's not a bad argument for moving end turn up. I mean, it's in all of these cases, it's unfortunate in that you could accidentally then hit end turn instead of move or act. We could always add a confirm. We could always, maybe when you click end turn, it switches to confirm, and then you have to click it again. So you have to double tap the end turn button, so you can't do it accidentally. It's a good idea. Well, you didn't have the idea. It's a good suggestion that you would never want to accidentally hit the end turn button is very good. Is a very good observation. So yeah, I might add a confirm button or something. It would probably be the same size. Where's the end turn button? With the M, it might be... Well, it's not exactly the same size, but we could add some little arrows on the side or something to make up for it. Because that's the only thing we really need to gate is end turn. Because the player is allowed to freely undo redo within the turn. Like, we don't make any restrictions on that. We could also have a confirm button show up in the center of the screen. Like, it doesn't necessarily need to be down in the edge. Actually, if anything, it probably would be better to have the confirm button be somewhere else so you don't accidentally double tap. Is there a state that there's nothing to do and so end turn makes more sense at that point? Yes, it's a turn-based game and your characters have finite resources, so they only have so many move and so many action. So, and it's one character goes at a time, kind of like a Baldur's Gate thing or something, right? So like your character goes, then maybe an enemy goes, then another one of your characters go. So if I use all my moves and I use my action, then I would want to end the turn so I can get my move and so I can, you know, go on to the next character. And for strategic reasons, you might not want to use all of your movement or all of your actions, or there just isn't anything to do. Like, you know, I've always had moments in Into the Breach where I don't fully use all of the resources on every character in the squad, so I don't want to, like, lock the end turn button. But yeah, maybe it's end turn, and then there's, like, a confirm button that pops up in the center of the screen. And maybe we can have it in the options that you can turn that off. So it can be like, don't show me this again, or something like that. So the people who don't want that safety net can turn it off, but the people that, and then it's their fault, you know, if they accidentally end the turn. But I like the idea of a confirm prompt for any time you do something that can't be undone. Because, like, I can move on accident and I can just undo it. Right? I can just undo back to the beginning of the turn. But as soon as I end the turn, that's it. That's it. You mean that if there's nothing to do... Confirm not required. I mean, it's always possible to make a mistake. Always. I don't think there's a way to make that impossible, that mistake impossible to do. Like, maybe your suggestion is, like, move the button somewhere else where there aren't any buttons, but, like, you could still forget where your cursor is. Or you could accidentally overdo something. Like, I think having a confirm step before you do something that's irreversible is just good. I think that's just good UX. And that's not something I currently have, so I think that is something I need to add. Like, no irreversible action should be able to be taken accidentally. And unfortunately, the way the end turn button is set up right now, that is possible. So I think that is something we should address. I think it's an open debate as to how to do it. I like the confirm in the center of the screen, just to force you to move over. Rather than you could accidentally double tap end turn and then confirm. And then you could still end the turn accidentally. What looks a bit like an afterthought to you? Not quite sure I follow, but I'm interested in your observations here. The confirm concept? What would you think would be a not an out? What would you think is a pre-thought solution? Because I'm just not sure what the alternative would be. If a mistake is impossible, okay. But that's maybe where we disagree. I don't think it's impossible to prevent a mistake. And I'm not sure how you would arrange that button to prevent that mistake. Because you can't just make it number of clicks, because someone could just accidentally double click. Yeah. I think from a practical standpoint, that scenario would never occur. So I think you have to defend against. I mean, you don't have to expect players to be dumb, but you definitely have to protect protect players from mistakes like that. I think it's very easy to make an unintentional thing like that. Like, what if your cat walks on your keyboard? Or you sneeze and your mouse hand moves. Game might help, like with autosave and or undo redo. Yeah, we have undo redo. We basically save every time an action occurs. Is this the right gap? This feels like the wrong gap. Yeah, maybe that's right, actually. But yeah, that's part of the way we're building the game, is if you make a mistake like that, we don't really want to let people save scum, which is part of the reason why we have an autosave system. So yeah, if you accidentally advance the turn, that cannot be undone. That is just the barrier at which you are like, I'm good with the outcome of the turn. I have unlimited undo redo within the turn, so I'm So as long as you know I'm paying attention, nothing occurs that I don't want to occur. So I think just adding a second prompt to confirm end turn is the best that you can do. Unless you just let people like reload the last turn, which I don't really want people to get into. There's a theoretical way that someone could save scum, and they could do it by closing the client, renaming the prior save to be later, to appear later than the newest save, and then loading the client. But like, if someone does that, I'm gonna let them do that. I don't care. If someone wants to go to the trouble of renaming saves. But yeah, we're not gonna just let people freely reload, because that leads to undesired behavior in RPGs. Yeah, if people want to do it, I think it's fine. I don't think I'm going to make it, terribly easy. Because we are prisoners of convenience, just generally, as beings, as human beings. We'll do things if it's convenient. Okay, I think this button is the wrong size. But what I really want to do... So if we have this move button here... What I want to see, and I want to grab this here, I want to see how big, and I know I could test this in the engine real quick, but we're going to test this like this. I know I could set up the buttons and actually test this, but I want to pre-test this just to see what size we're talking about here. So if the move button is the one you have hovered over, the act button will collapse into just an icon, like the undo redo. And then the icon that remains should just get plugged in here. And it would be about this size. And then this, for measuring purposes, this is 132 pixels. And we might be off by a couple of pixels. That's pretty close to what we want. Could I actually go further? So how far close to the edge are we here? 9? Okay, we could at least drop that down. So I think we can hit the length of the end turn button, which is 130. I think we can hit 130. So I actually think I am going to leave the end turn button here, because I kind of want to stack this in order, which is in order of like the order you would do it. So like move and act are first. Move and act would be first. Because that's what you do. And then if you're done with your turn, you end turn. And then optionally, you can undo redo if you're not happy, or access the menu if you need to change some. So this is the bottom bar because it's the most optional. This is the middle bar because it's the thing that you do after the first bar. That's what I'm going to do. That's how we're going to do it. And I will make an HBox. Now I will make an HBox container. Look at me. Look at me using control nodes. I'm gonna call this the move button row. Because I think I'm gonna put move before act. And I think it will be the default. Because I think in general, especially if you're dealing with melee combatants, you are generally going to move first and then act. Even with ranged, that's probably the common thing you're gonna do. So let's set this up here. What we need to do is we need to put some texture buttons in here. A couple of texture buttons. Move button. Act button. We need to get some... We need to finish this sprite sheet. We need to finish at least the icon and others. I still think this button is the wrong size. I think it's got too much of a margin on the right. So I think I need to tighten this up a little. There's a question of whether there's too much margin on this side as well, but I think proportionally it's okay. Because there's a little bit more space on the left here, so there could probably be a little bit more space on the right here. Yeah, and that's what we've currently got. I think overall it's still correct in terms of this is 34 by 34. So let's just tighten this up a little. So this should be 6. It's currently 8. So let's bring it in by 2. What kind of game are you making, Kenny? You said you're making a turn-based game? That's pretty cool. I like a turn-based game. I certainly like making a turn-based game a lot more than a real-time game, because there's a lot of complexity that comes to working in real-time. That is scary. What did I say this was? 6? Yeah, 6. Okay. Okay, so let's trim the edge of this sprite a little bit. Trim 16 off. Okay. So that's 184, is it? Yep. Okay. All right, this will work. We need to add more to get the rest of these. Because you need normal, you need at least normal, focused / hovered, pressed. Oh no, this is focused. So this is focused. So we have normal, hover, pressed, focused, and disabled. I guess we'll probably disable the buttons when you run out. I wonder what that's gonna look like. That might look weird. Because this menu works. This menu works because menu button can't ever be disabled. But actually, these two could be disabled. Well, maybe we don't need to disable them just because you ran out of movement or actions. I'm not sure about that. We'll figure that out. You're making an XCOM-like isometric? Oh, sick. That's cool. All right, we're starting with this. This is good enough to start with. So now what we go into is we go into our textures and we start making Atlas textures. We can do it. I have menu here. I don't know if this is the right place to do it. Again, I really need to reorganize. Resource, Atlas texture. Organization of this project is a nightmare. Move button. What do I call this? Move button normal. What's it called here? And then we have tab. Okay, so let's do move button normal. Oop, where'd it go? Here it is. Load that texture we just made. That's somewhere. Move. I don't know where it is, so I'm just gonna search for it. Thanks, Godot. Size is... I actually don't know what the size is. Is it 100? 34. Oh, it's bigger than 100. What is it? 34. 34. 106. Okay. Save. Throw that in here. And the textures. Whoop, whoop. Let me move the thing I want to move. Oh. I gotta move the button row because I'm not allowed to move the button. That's right. Oh. There were roofers that were supposed to be here at 8 a.m. It's now 3 p.m. and I think they've finally arrived. How many spaces is this, do you think? 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 6? That looks about right. All right, now, is this your first game? Do you already sell games? Is it a hobby for me? You're like between moving into indie game. In Godot, I've only really done game jams. I spent a long time just making little hobby games. In Unity before that, I moved over to Godot a few years ago. This will be my first Steam release. Been working on it for a couple of months. It's kind of engineered to be a short project that's doable. I definitely have my fair share of dream games that I've pursued at various times. Some for, you know, years. But the meta right now is to make short games quickly, and I'm trying to do that. Short games with wide appeal. And that's what I'm trying to do. All right. So let's add in the act button. The atlas texture. Act button. Normal. Well, let's say act button tab right. Just so we can see how this looks. Atlas. Oh, this should be 34 by 34, thereabouts. And this needs to be the opposite, so 106 minus 34. I don't know how to do that, so we're just going to do it like this. And then what we're going to do is we're going to plug this in for the normal texture. And then what we need to do is we need to set the container size. Separation -10 is what we want. -10. We need the other one to be a higher. Actually, what we could do is we can just move them in this order. Like that. Oh, no, we can't. What we need to do instead is do Z indexing. So I think this is a little too small. Oh no, it's exactly the right size. This icon is wrong. I grabbed the wrong icon. I also think maybe the icon is... I think there's not as much room as I thought there was. I think I need to make the move button smaller. If I want it to be the same. If I want it to be in line with the rest of these. This should actually be way over here. Like that. Okay, yeah, something's got to give here. It's close. I want some breathing room here. Do you use AI? No. No, because I like to understand what I'm using. And I find as soon as I surrender the workflow to a process that I don't understand, I can no longer think about it critically. That's just me. Oh, we're running out of time here. That's okay. So I think I need to tighten up this button a little somehow. I think the sizing is good is my problem. So we're gonna have to decide what to do about that. We can make the button a little bigger. I still think it might be neat to show the character, but maybe not. Maybe it doesn't matter. Maybe this is too big. I could tighten this up a little. All right, this is close though. This is close to what I want. It's not exactly there, but it's close. It's damn close. We could theoretically, again, flip and turn with the move and act buttons. I don't really want to. It would give us a nice stepped appearance. It would give us a nice stepped appearance. I could probably shorten the move icon a little bit. But yeah, I'll fiddle with that. I'll fiddle with that. I don't really want it to be after end turn, because end turn, it should not be like the top of your list of things to do. You should move and act and then end turn. And if you want, you have your, you know, your menu and your undo, redo and stuff at the bottom. I don't know what you mean when you say the buttons seem to be automatable. They are. There's a script that controls the button behavior. That's like what code is. But yeah, I would hesitate to be creating things like art with AI. I would not try to create stuff like this that way. Let's find someone to raid. I gotta get back to work. I do have a day job. Let's see, Adam's on, no mobile, Adagon. Oh, Adagon's doing GMTK. Maybe we'll go hang out there. Let me see. Let's see what's going on here. GMTK just started, that's exciting. Big game jam. Boolean is also live. Boolean's doing okay though. Let's go hang out with Adagon. I gotta get their name right. I invoked the wrong name last time. Yeah, I'm sorry, Evgeny. I don't understand where you would put AI in the workflow of making the art there. But yeah, we have scripts that handle the positioning for. That's partly what HBox container does. Let's set this rate up. Adagon dev. Let's not make the mistake again. Let's not make the same mistake. This is a cool creator. They help run Down to Jam, which is a great game jam. And they are participating in day 1 of GMTK. They do so many game jams. I'm excited to see what they come up with here. Because yeah, to me, UI, pixel art UI and stuff is all about precision. And I think the one thing you don't get with AI is precision. Because like, I agonize over this stuff, which is like, should this be 4 pixels or 6 pixels? And it's visual, so you need to like visually evaluate it. So I don't know if that would work. I think there's areas you could use it, but I would never use it on final. I think that's the key thing, and I would never use it to create final art, and I don't think anyone should. I don't think AI should be used to create any final pieces, and people will largely be unhappy with that. They will find out because Steam makes you declare it, and they will be upset. They'll be upset. People don't want to see AI art in games. But yeah, for ideating, for documentation, for testing, sure, there's all sorts of things you could use that stuff for. But yeah, here we go. Raiding out. Thanks so much for watching, everyone. Have a great day. Maybe I'll see you next time. Bye.